always on the go, but the day just won't be one without your Hollywood fix. Let Golden State Media Concepts Entertainment Podcast take care of that. An all-inclusive look of pop culture.
Hello and welcome to the GSMC Entertainment Podcast, brought to you by the GSMC Podcast Network. I am your host, Sarah, and I am happy to be with you here on another Sunday episode of entertainment news and, you know, things that are going on in the entertainment world, because there's always something going on in the entertainment world. Always, right? It's just, that's what it is. It's entertaining, and people find entertainment in all sorts of things. So we will cover some of what is going on in that world, because it is only a half an hour podcast. If I were to try to cover everything happening that could be qualified as entertainment news, we'd be here pretty much 24/7 just talking about entertainers, movies, music, podcasts, sports, books. I don't even know what else. Lots and lots and lots of things that I don't even think of to cover. At any rate, I'm babbling, and I'll stop. Let's go ahead and turn to our first story, and that is about the Avengers Endgame, and the fact that June is Pride Month. We're almost done with June. I can't believe that. But in June, we celebrate Pride Month. We celebrate and stand in solidarity with the LGBTQ plus community. So, for those of you who have seen Avengers Endgame, who are fans of the Marvel Universe, I'm sure you know how the movie has been analyzed and debated and torn apart and just looked at in minute detail, from everything from, you know, the story to the actors to the cinematography, etc. But one thing that people have been talking about is what turns out to be kind of an accidental milestone, because Endgame technically featured the first canonically LGBT character in a Marvel Cinematic Universe film. This was in the form of a support group attendee who was played by the film's co-director, Joe Russo, who talks about how his date with another man went in a post-snap world. And the sequence was met with a bit of scrutiny for not doing enough to advance the franchise's LGBT representation, a backlash that Marvel Studio President Kevin Feige is aware of. And I'm not sure if that's how you say his last name, Feige. Looks like Feige could be any number of pronunciations, so I apologize for maybe not getting that right. Okay, so just to give you a little more background, in case you haven't seen the movie, in the film, Steve Rogers, or Captain America, leads a support group for people who lost loved ones to the Thanos snap. One of the members in the group reveals that he finally went on his first date since the decimation, and based on the he pronouns he uses, it's clear that his character is gay. The moment packs a mildly extra punch since he's, as we said before, being played by Joe Russo, who's the co-director. However, the fact that he plays an unnamed character with a few lines almost feels like a slap in the face to the people waiting 22 movies to see themselves represented on screen. Sure, the comment says, we're glad to have confirmation that gay people exist in this universe, but it feels like too little, too late. And people have been definitely talking about this, mentioning it, commenting on it, expressing their displeasure that, you know, it's like a tiny effort was made, but not really enough to make that big of an impact. And it turns out that in a recent interview with IO9, Kevin Feige, the president, spoke about the response to the scene and also shed some light on what the initial goal of it was. He's quoted as saying, "That was never meant to be our first focused character. That was just meant to be a matter of fact and a matter of life and a matter of truth. And I liked it that our hero, Steve Rogers, doesn't blink an eye at the fact. It's just truth and is heartbreaking for the loss and for the life he's trying to put back together. It was never meant to be looked at as our first hero. I guess it's the first reference, so it does, of course, get a lot of attention. I find that interesting. I mean, do we really need to ease into that? Maybe, but it seems like kind of an odd way to do it. At any rate, as time has passed since Endgame's debut, some have come around to what the real intention of what the scene is, and have hoped that it could set the stage for a more significant LGBT character to appear in the Marvel is it Marvel Cinematic Universe, Marvel Comic Universe, MCU? I should look at my acronyms. Anyway, as Feige revealed in the same interview, the future of the franchise is going to include that in a much more prominent way. He says, "We haven't been shy about saying that that's coming, and there's much more prominent LGBT heroes in the future." He said, "It's coming soon." So the mindset of bringing more diverse representation to the MCU has been on quite a lot of fans' minds, as well as some of the actors inside the franchise. I'm happy to be on the forefront of the normalization of this type of content and to prove once again that representation matters. Diverse storytelling matters, the female experience matters, and these are markers, Brie Larson, who plays Carol Danvers / Captain Marvel, said in a recent interview. So it's something I've always known, and I think a lot of people always knew, but this is just normalizing. I don't understand how you could think that a certain type of person isn't allowed to be a superhero, she continued. So to me, it's like, we got to move faster, but I'm always wanting to move faster with this stuff. So kudos, I guess, to them for trying to, or for including that as just kind of, par for the course and something that happens in the course of conversation. But maybe it wasn't the greatest way to introduce it's not really even a character. It's an unnamed character, and I understand what he's saying in terms of it being just normal everyday life, but in something as huge and iconic as Marvel and the 22 movies that they've put out, I feel like they could have done better than just one little spot in a movie meant to normalize. And it sounds like that is coming, but I don't know. Maybe it was just a slight misstep on their part. Again, kudos that more is coming and that at least it's on their radar. That is good news in some ways. In other movie news and other franchise news, it turns out that Mark Hamill hopes he's done with Star Wars after the rise of Star Wars. After the rise of Skywalker. Some people who have been fans forever might think, why would you ever want to be done with Star Wars? Wouldn't you want to do it forever? And as Luke Skywalker, Mark Hamill has certainly been the face of the Star Wars franchise for over 40 years. But if he has his way, then this upcoming movie, The Rise of Skywalker, will be serving as his franchise curtain call. Despite Luke's fate in Star Wars The Last Jedi, we've known for some time that Mark Hamill would be returning in The Rise of Skywalker, likely as a Force Ghost. And the Force Ghost is a hilarious phrase to me, I don't know why. And the actor told AP Entertainment on the red carpet for Child's Play that he hopes the movie will be his last Star Wars film. I sure hope so, he said with a laugh. When asked why, Hamill explained that he had closure in the last one. The fact that I'm involved in any capacity is only because of that peculiar aspect of the Star Wars mythology where if you're a Jedi, you get to come back and make a curtain call as a Force Ghost. So I can see, when you've been doing something for 40 years, albeit with a very large gap in between there, when you've been known as one thing for 40 years, you may want to move on, but as Lucasfilm President Kathleen Kennedy has previously explained that The Rise of Skywalker will be serving as the culmination of the entire Skywalker saga, it's only natural that we'll be saying goodbye to Luke Skywalker. And, who knows, maybe he'll reprise that role somewhere down the road, because, of course, as a Force Ghost, he can be in every movie he wants to be until, of course, he is in fact a Force Ghost. And then, hey, let's just keep having him come back even after he becomes a Force Ghost. Mark Hamill, not Luke Skywalker. that was a bad joke. Anyway, the Star Wars The Rise of Skywalker will bring the 9-film saga to a conclusion, but of course that doesn't mean that the franchise is going to be coming to an end. In fact, I was just having a conversation about this with my sister. She said, oh, I really want to see that one because it's the last one, although she made me laugh because she hasn't seen the first 2 in this current trilogy, and she wanted to know if she should. She makes me laugh. She's a huge Star Wars fan, at least the original trilogy. But we were talking about this, and I said, it is the last one of this kind of segment of, as it says, the 9-film saga. But you know that they're going to roll this till the wheels fall off because it is such a popular franchise. And that could be good. That could be... It could go too far. Sometimes franchises just get a little... They go a little too far, and you think... Yeah, that should have ended X number of movies ago, but hopefully that will not happen. But don't blame Mark Hamill for hoping that his role comes to an end, although that makes me sad because it's just one more part of my childhood that is coming to an end. But it could have stopped after 3 movies, and then it would have come to an end. That part of my childhood would have come to an end much sooner, so I really can't complain. And hopefully people will be understanding about his saying that and not get snarky about it. At any rate, it's time to take our first break of the podcast, so stay tuned. You're listening to the GSMC Entertainment Podcast, and I'll be right back.
Want to find out what movies to go see? Then check out the GSMC Movie Podcast. It's your ticket to the latest movies, whether it's a new blockbuster event, romantic, comedy, or action flick. This show has got it all covered. They talk some what to go see now, don't bother, what's hot on Netflix, and everything in between. That's GSMCpodcast.com/movie-podcast. When it's all about the movies, it has to be this new show. Don't forget to like them on Facebook and follow them on Twitter. Visit GSMCpodcast.com for more info.
Welcome back to the GSMC Entertainment Podcast. Before the break, we were talking about some news from different franchises, namely the Marvel universe and the Star Wars universe. Moving on now, still movie related. It's another franchise also. A new Halloween sequel is coming in 2022 with Jamie Lee Curtis expected to again return. As mentioned on a previous episode, there was the post with Jamie Lee Curtis and the director saying that they were discussing stuff. And it turns out that apparently they were discussing stuff. That director is David Gordon Green. I should have remembered that. At any rate, Collider reports that Blumhouse is already prepping production on a new Halloween sequel. Wonder if it will be called Halloween 2. We, of course, already have one of those, but there was already a Halloween, so whatever. The 2018 version of the revisit of Laurie Strode's ongoing struggle with Michael Myers took in $255 million worldwide, while only costing $10 million to make. That's pretty crazy. So here we are, and Green has already penned the screenplay and is expected to return to the director's chair. There's no word if Danny McBride will return in a similar capacity, but Jeff Snyder's report indicates that he'll likely wind up in an executive producer role at the very least, along with Carpenter. The other big detail is that Curtis is indeed jumping back into the role of Laurie Strode for the 6th time in this franchise's history. Her recent portrayal was a very different, harder-edged take that was well-received and had many critics reflecting on the role trauma played in the film's narrative. She'll be making another bow here along with the other 2 generations of the Strode family that were introduced last time around, played by Judy Greer and Andy Matichak, who are also being courted to come back. So if you are a fan of this franchise, then this should be exciting news to you. I am a fan of Jamie Lee Curtis. I'm a fan of Judy Greer as well, but I am not a fan of this franchise. I just don't like horror. I've said that before. It's nothing against the movie, and I'm sure there's some great explorations of the role trauma plays, etc. But nope, I can't do it. I just can't do it. Give me cute Halloween over creepy Halloween any day. I can take a certain level of creepy Halloween, but I'm much more of a cute Halloween person. Give me jack-o'-lanterns and all those good things. Other movie news, and that is that Prince Charles has caused a stir on the 007 set in a Bond-themed tie. I love a good themed tie, or themed pair of socks, or themed anything. Executive producer Barbara Broccoli, is her last name really Broccoli? That's awesome. Maybe it's pronounced differently. At any rate, executive producer Barbara Broccoli claimed the royals' fashion statement was a nod to the Jamaican setting of the upcoming movie. There is a picture in this article of Daniel Craig and Prince Charles being very male in that they are bent over a car, obviously making admiring noises. It is one of the custom-made Aston Martins that appears in the film. He was dressed in his usual suit, but he was sporting a tie decorated with speedboats and palm trees. And as I mentioned, executive producer Barbara Broccoli claimed that the Prince of Wales' fashion statement was a nod to the Jamaican setting of the upcoming as yet unnamed movie. She said she thought Charles had worn the tie to mark the occasion. I don't think anything is a mistake when it comes to His Royal Highness, she said, and I would have to agree with that. I don't think many details go unnoticed when it comes to wardrobe or statements or appearances or anything like that. There is a picture, there's a really cute picture actually of Prince Charles laughing. He's on set and he's laughing with Daniel Craig and Rafe Fiennes, as well as director Cary Joji Fukunaga. And wow, he looks like his sons when he's laughing. He looks a lot like Harry in that picture. He is laughing at Fiennes, who plays M, and he had explained that they had been filming a scene in which his character gives Bond a good dressing down. After Charles left the room, the movie's director turned to Craig and Fiennes, telling them, right back to work, not distracting at all. So, you know me, I'm a royal ogler. I just find them fascinating that they are living their lives in such a spotlight, but they seem like pretty decent people. You know, I mean, they always seem like they're never grumpy about having to do the things that they have to do as royalty. Although I suppose going to the set of the new James Bond movie and meeting the actors and director and producers, etc., and looking at cool cars can't be that much of a hardship, right? Seems like it would be an okay perk of the job. Keanu Reeves. Let's talk about Keanu Reeves. I've been talking about Keanu a lot lately, it seems like, in different podcasts that I host. He is all over the news. He was recently declared the internet's boyfriend because of somebody noticing in pictures that he never touches women when they pose for photos with him. He always looks like he has what many people call jazz hands, that he has his arm kind of behind them, but he never really touches them. And people were lauding this, that, you know, he doesn't touch people without consent and that he is a gentleman, etc. And they have deemed him the internet's boyfriend. And now probably some of those same people have determined that he should be Time's Person of the Year, that he should be given that distinction. Some people might not think this is a high honor when it is in fact something that not a lot of people have been given, and for good reason. But being the person of the year is, it's not just something that's given out just because someone outperformed another person or somehow proved that they're a decent person. This is the kind of award you get because you are that inherently awesome and have done that much in your life that is worth noticing. While the reward is definitely earned and should consider Keanu in the running at least, the petition kind of begs another question that takes on a rather cynical form. Where were these people when Keanu's career wasn't so hot? Well, they were probably there. I don't know. Where is anybody when somebody's career isn't so hot? That's just the fickle nature of fame and the internet, and it's even worse now that we have the internet and social media. I mean, I'm not so worried about that. But Keanu is, everything I've ever read about Keanu Reeves speaks to what a decent, kind of introverted person he is. He hasn't really changed much throughout the years. He seems like he's stayed kind of the same person. If anything has changed, it's that he's gotten a bit older and is, he's still been involved in a few movies that some people would say are pretty subpar, according to this article, but he's also still done what he could to make them work. And, there's that story of him giving his salary to crew on, I think it was The Matrix, simply because he felt that their role was so important and they needed more recognition. So again, he sounds like an incredibly decent guy. So this article is complaining that people weren't there when his career didn't seem to be doing as well. Well, you can say the same thing about sports, right? What do they call them? Fair weather fans? Is that right? Things ebb and flow, and I'm sure that there are people who have thought you were still amazed by him, in love with him, thinking he's a great person regardless of how his career was going. Those people are out there, but that's just how it works. So anyway, there is apparently a petition that says that he should be Time's Person of the Year. I'm not sure. I'm not even sure how he would feel about that. Not that I know him, but everything you read, it kind of makes it seem like he's very humble and pretty introverted. So I'm not sure he'd want the recognition. But if he was given the recognition, it seems like he would probably use it for good, because that just seems like how he is and what he does. So go Keanu. You were a huge part of my teenage years when you were on Bill and Ted, and I still quote that movie. Even though it's a ridiculous, ridiculous movie, but you gotta love it because of its ridiculousness. We're going to take that second break of the podcast. When we come back, we'll be wrapping up this episode of the Entertainment Podcast, so stay tuned. We'll be right back.
Tired of searching the vast jungle of podcasts? Now listen close and hear this out. There's a podcast network that covers just about everything that you've been searching. The Golden State Media Concepts Podcast Network is here. Nothing less than a podcast bliss with endless hours of podcast coverage. From news, sports, music, fashion, cooking, entertainment, fantasy, football, and so much more. So stop lurking around and go straight out to the Golden State Media Concepts Podcast Network. Guaranteed to fill that podcast itch. Whatever it may be. Visit us at www.gsmcpodcast.com. Follow us on Facebook and Twitter, and download us on iTunes, SoundCloud, and Google Play.
Welcome back to the GSMC Entertainment Podcast. Before the break, I was speaking about people petitioning to, or at least rallying for Keanu Reeves to be the Time Person of the Year. Our next story is about an actual award, and that is that the Will Rogers Motion Picture Pioneers Foundation announced on June 20th that actress, director, and producer Elizabeth Banks will receive the 2019 Pioneer of the Year Award on September 25th at the Beverly Hilton in Beverly Hills, and she is the first female director to receive this honor. If you are not familiar with the Pioneer of the Year Award, it is given to a respected member of the motion picture community whose professional leadership, service, and commitment to philanthropy is exemplary. Banks will receive the award at the Pioneer of the Year dinner, the annual fundraiser benefiting the, WRMPPF's that's a really big acronym. The WRMPPF's Pioneers Assistance Fund, which provides financial support and services to individuals in the theatrical entertainment community who are encountering an illness, injury, or life-changing event. There wasn't a Pioneer of the Year dinner at CinemaCon in Las Vegas back in April because the event was moved to Beverly Hills this fall. So in terms of Elizabeth Banks, her filmography counts $5.6 billion at the global box office. She made her feature directorial debut with Universal's Pitch Perfect 2 and beat Warner Brothers' tentpole Mad Max Fury Road in their opening domestic weekend with $69 million, with the sequel finaling at $287 million worldwide. She is currently directing, producing, co-writing, and starring as Bosley in her continuation of Charlie's Angels. Oh, a female Bosley. Interesting. That's for Sony Pictures and follows a new generation of angels. In 2002, she launched her own production company, Brownstone Productions. She also produced Walt Disney Pictures' Surrogates, starring Bruce Willis, DreamWorks' Forever 21, and Universal Pictures' Pitch Perfect franchise, as well as Too Far From Home. As an actress, her canon includes The Hunger Games, Sam Raimi's Spider-Man trilogy, Seabiscuit, The 40-Year-Old Virgin, Man on a Ledge, What to Expect When You're Expecting, Oliver Stone's W, The Lego Movie, Love and Mercy, Magic Mike, XXL, Power Rangers, Wet Hot American Summer, just to name a few. She is an advocate for women, including a number of female empowerment, health, and rights issues. She participates in a number of charitable organizations, including American Foundation for AIDS Research, American Heart Association, American Stroke Association, LA's Best, Malaria No More, March of Dimes, Milk and Bookies, Stand Up to Cancer, Time's Up, and Women's March Los Angeles. So she sounds like she is really, really active in terms of philanthropy and being involved in good causes. Kyle Davies, who is the president of WRMPPF and president of domestic distribution at Paramount Pictures, said, "We are delighted to recognize Elizabeth's achievements in the motion picture industry with this well-deserved honor. Her contributions to the film business as an actress, director, and producer, along with her tremendous advocacy and support of women in our community and beyond, demonstrates leadership, vision, and inspires audiences everywhere. We look forward to celebrating Elizabeth's career achievements and philanthropic contributions at the Pioneer of the Year dinner, as well as raising much-needed funds for the Pioneer Assistance Fund." So congratulations to Elizabeth Banks on this honor. Other celebrity/movie sort of news, and that is that Batman, Julia Roberts, and Spike Lee are among the 2020 Walk of Fame honorees. And even though it seems like 2020 is a long way away, it's really just right around the corner. The full list of honorees was announced at the Hollywood Chamber of Commerce's Walk of Fame Selection Committee via an exclusive live stream. The nominees are chosen from hundreds of nominees during a selection meeting in June, and the newest inductees cut a swath through every lane of the entertainment industry, including television, live theater, radio, and film. Two-time Academy Award winner Mahershala Ali, who accepted an award at this year's Oscars for his supporting role in Green Book, will be honored in the motion pictures category alongside other bold-faced names such as Spike Lee, Julia Roberts, Chris Hemsworth, and Octavia Spencer. Even the DC superhero Batman will be receiving his own star next year. I wonder who accepts Batman's star for him. Is it one of the comic book creator people? Is it one of the actors who played Batman? Is it just some guy in a Batman costume? I don't know. I'm intrigued. In the television category, talk show hosts Andy Cohen and Wendy Williams will also be honored with stars, alongside Married with Children star Christina Applegate and Terry Crews. On the music side, Curtis 50 Cent Jackson's name will be added to the Walk of Fame, along with other famous performers such as Alicia Keys, Billy Idol, and Tanya Tucker. Is it Tanya Tucker or Tanya Tucker? Either way. Tony-winning performer Billy Porter, who now stars in Ryan Murphy's FX series Pose, will also be honored for his work on stage alongside comedian Dave Chappelle. In a statement, Selection Committee Chair and Walk of Fame Vin DeBona said, "This year's choices were particularly unique. We were able to recognize the talents of 35 artists who have already built a legacy here in Hollywood. Also, we were able to celebrate many new talented artists who've touched our hearts in film, television, radio, and a variety of musical categories." The Hollywood Chamber of Commerce also announced posthumous honors, including Andy Kaufman and Muddy Waters. So once again, congratulations to everyone who is included among those honorees. And as I said, I'm intrigued as to who will be there for Batman's star, because I'm a dork. I admit it, and I'm okay with that. At any rate, on that note, on the note of Batman and your host being a dork, let's go ahead and wrap up this episode of the Entertainment Podcast. Thank you so much for joining me, and I hope you will join me again for our next edition of the GSMC Entertainment Podcast, when I'm sure there will be plenty to report from the world of entertainment. Hope you have a great week. Thanks.
You've been listening to the Golden State Media Concepts Entertainment Podcast, part of the Golden State Media Concepts Podcast Network. You can find this show and others like it at www.gsmcpodcast.com. Download our podcast on iTunes, Stitcher, SoundCloud, and Google Play. Just type in GSMC to find all the shows from the Golden State Media Concepts Podcast Network. From movies to music, from sports to entertainment, and even weird news. You can also follow us on Twitter and on Facebook. Thank you, and we hope you have enjoyed today's program.